Hey there everybody, thanks for joining me for another one-man review. Today I'll be taking a look at a beautiful little book called Ripples by Hagiwara Rei. This is coming out from Glacier Bay Books. Glacier Bay is doing this really awesome thing as a publishing company where they're bringing over independent comics from Japan, so like underground manga, and exposing us in the English language market to stuff other than what the big companies choose to translate and bring over. So I'm a real big fan now that I found their stuff of what they're doing, and I think that it's a project as a publisher that really deserves a lot of support. So really behind their books and enjoy most of them. Ripples is no different. It's got this beautiful, and the production on these things is always beautiful. It's got this beautiful like little kind of canvas texture cover that looks great with the watercolors, and then on the inside there's the softest like color here with this barely visible drawing of, it looks like a pencil drawing of a hand. There's some really cool production tricks going on in here where I assume that the artist is smart enough to know to work on separate pieces of paper, or whoever's doing the production on this book is doing some really great stuff, because the way that these washes are handled and printed is beautiful. The paper is a nice, thick, beautiful paper. It holds the black real well. You can kind of see the fiber of the paper. It's all really gorgeous. I'm curious, reading the book, if the artwork wasn't done in color first and then like converted to black and white, because the color work is so beautiful on the cover and inside cover, and I could see that going throughout the book. But also the dense use of black suggests to me that this is probably intended to be in black and white. I don't think there would have been such intense use of black if these were colors. I can't imagine what colors these would be that would be filling in all the black. So I think it is a black and white job. What really gets me thinking about production, this is something Sean has talked to me about a lot in his tech videos, is that when you have a lot of ink wash, what you have to do is you have to halftone it or use stochastic screening on it to get the look of that correct. You can't just output it as a single bitmap, basically. It has to have grays in it. It has to be a grayscale file. There's different ways to do that. We have tech videos for that. You can check those out. But when you do those things, it usually is going to decrease the fidelity of the line art. So unless the line art's been done on a separate piece of paper and treated separately and digitally combined, you're going to get some fuzziness. And I don't see fuzziness on the lines in here. It's really strange to me to imagine that this book was done on like different pieces of paper, because there are moments where the black just fades out, but it really does look like anytime there's line work that was potentially done separately and scanned in and put together. There's also some moments where it looked like pencil was used throughout the book, which was really interesting to me. So there's a lot of like just like lovely images like this where it's just straight ink wash. It reminds me of like a Diebenkorn, and then there's some really great drawing and cartooning going on, and some really interesting, I don't know if I tagged a page that has some pencil. Yeah, here we go. And then some use of pencil in there combined with the ink wash. And the way all those combine together makes a really lovely book. It reminds me quite a bit of Andrew White's work, the kind of simple cartooning with the washy colors. I could see this in color looking a lot like his work as well. Like drawings like this or this remind me a lot of Andrew White. And then these very simple, like almost linguistic, pictographic moments of calligraphy and icon throughout the book. I think these are really beautiful and also remind me of Andrew White. It's also just kind of got his poetic sensibility. I don't know if these two artists are aware of each other at all, one being an underground artist in Japan and the other being in America, but I think that they would enjoy each other's work at least. I see the sensibility, and if you follow the channel at all, you know I love Andrew White, so then I'm going to love this as well, obviously. The story is more poetic, but it's straightforward enough. It's not just like a poetry comic, but it's more ephemeral. It's obviously about loss and dealing with death and people passing on. There's a flame that is kind of like a ghost, that is someone who's fallen off of a cliff. That's like the general gist of the story. I don't want to get into it more than that, because I think you should go buy the book. But that's kind of the gist, is someone metaphorically, I think, struggling with the loss of people. And my reading of the book is backed up then by the statement at the afterword written by the artist, is saying it was about death and memory and things like that. So I feel like pretty justified in saying that this is about death and loss in some way. I don't know exactly what. Here's another. You got an ink drawing and then a pencil drawing, and they sit on the page really well together. So I think the artist is probably doing a lot of pre-production and a lot of combining things together in Photoshop to make sure that each element and each medium is best represented. Ink wash, pencil, actual ink is all kind of treated differently and then put together in Photoshop, I think. I love these kind of moments. I really want to play with some more loose mark making like that. I got to make sure Sean gets a copy of this book because I know he'll love those kinds of things. And then at the end here, there's a really beautiful sequence, and this is no spoilers here, but you have this series of black pages. And again, with this paper, the black just really sits on there nice and has like a fibrous quality to it that's really lovely, especially in good strong light. And then there's a little bit of text here that's part of the story. And then here you get the text just like dissolving. It's unreadable, and that sense of loss and memory is kind of attached into this. It also looks like, from what I can tell, like the letters are backwards. So there's some of like whatever's on this page is intended to be our understanding, maybe, is that we're seeing it through. I can't tell. It's hard to read, but maybe this is like faded and seen through. But I really like that at the end of the book, just as this like little sense of loss. There is some filling in on the letters on this page, which makes me think maybe it was like a production error. But then I look at this and it's got the Japanese in the same kind of faded look. So that's definitely intentional. And I think they're just throwing in some grays to make this look like things are fading in and out. So that seems like a really, especially given how well produced everything else is, that seems like a really smart, intentional aspect of the production design on this. And again, I think it's really great. And then you go to the back cover here and you get some more of those lovely like pastel colors with the pencil drawing over top. Again, I think that's combined together digitally, and then a nice abstraction on the back here. So I think this is a really lovely little package. I think it's a great little book. And like I said, I think what Glacier Bay as a publisher is doing is really, really worthwhile and worth our support. So go check out their website, whether you get this book or a bunch of other books from them. I don't know, just please support Glacier Bay. I think they're doing great things. If you enjoy what we're doing here on the channel and you want to support us, the best ways to do it are through our Patreon. We have a couple different tiers there that come with different kind of levels of engagement and exclusive content and whatnot. We appreciate that. The money that we get from that goes back into buying books, so we're just trying to turn that back into the community. And then the best thing you can do to support Living the Line is support what Sean's doing with Living the Line Publishing. So we'll take a look at a couple of the works that he's put out that you can get a hold of. Plaza by Yokoyama Yuichi. This is translated by Ryan Holmberg and is very large for a manga, so that's a really cool feature of this book, this standard manga size. And this is just a 200 some odd page representation of what Yokoyama Yuichi thinks of the Carnival Parade. And he's just made this like relentlessly loud and rhythmic book that pushes all kinds of amazing boundaries of what comics and manga are, and we could not recommend this book more. Thanks for following along. Take it away, Jack.
You want to see all these books? Smash that subscribe button and the like button and the bell, and then you get them.